Hello and welcome to another video from the only channel that you need to not only survive the current apocalypse but actually enjoy it. And today's video is going to be called We Can Fix This. Now, human beings in general all around the world understand that what the situation we're in is broke, and on a lot of different levels. We've got an economy that doesn't work. So since apparently it was us human beings that created this economy that doesn't work, then it should be on us as human beings to bring about an economy that does work. And so people have solutions. You know, let's get more people to work. Let's bring back all these jobs that have been shipped overseas, whatever. There's always some kind of solution. I think pretty much everybody recognizes that the political system doesn't work. Our human rulers are obviously doing a very bad job, so we put them in there. Maybe it's up to us to get them out and put somebody else in there, you know. It's a solution. We can fix this. Deforestation. I think a lot of the people that come to my channel recognize that we're wrecking the earth, and since we're the ones that wrecked it, it should be our responsibility to fix it. Now, the thing about all of these things is that the human beings have been fixing the economy, fixing the political system, and fixing deforestation for 6,000 years now. And every year the economy gets worse, the political system gets worse, and more of the planet is turned into desert. In fact, there's never been a single year in the known history where human beings were actually able to restore more of the desert than we created. But there's other things that we're trying to fix that we didn't break. Things that God broke. The flood. Prior to the flood, there was a garden. It was surrounded by powerful angels called cherubs, and those cherubs' job was to keep people out of that garden because human food was in there. The actual, natural, instinctive human food that we were all meant to eat was growing on trees that were known as the trees of life. After the flood, there is never once again any mention of the trees of life existing anywhere. And so it's almost obvious that God got rid of the trees of life. It's not that word for word doesn't say that in the Bible, but it does say in the Bible that God would restore the trees of life. So whether he got rid of them or not, he's promised to bring back the trees of life. In the book of Revelation, it says that all of the trees of life would come back into existence from their extinct state and begin to produce food for mankind 12 months a year. So our human food, our natural human food, will be restored by God. Another thing is the languages. You know, human beings shortly after the flood started to do bad things again, and so God stopped them from what they were doing by confusing their languages. But throughout the Bible, promises and many prophecies indicate that God is going to restore humankind to a pure human, instinctive human language. But every one of these prophecies says that God's going to do this after Jesus returns. So after Jesus returns, human food will be brought back, proper human food will be brought back. After Jesus returns, the instinctive, natural human language that allows all of us to communicate with one another will be brought back. And so we can't fix that. The solar system, or what I've been talking about recently as the calendar. About 2,700 years ago, earthwide, everyone used a 360-day calendar, and the reason for this is because the year was 360 days long. In other words, the dead of winter would come, 360 days later, the dead of winter would come again, and so on and so forth. But around 2,700 years ago, the Bible at Daniel chapter 2 and verse 21 says that God is changing months and years. And from that time on, we see cultures around the planet developing a 365-day calendar. It wasn't just something on paper, it was the actual way that the solar system works. So now, instead of experiencing the dead of winter every 360 days, we experience the dead of winter every 365 and a quarter days. And there's no way we can fix that. God has to fix it, but he promised that he would. In the book of Revelation, over and over again, it refers to the 360-day calendar being restored after Jesus returns. So all these things we just talked about are things that God promises to fix after Jesus returns. Now, is there any one of us that thinks that we can bring back extinct species of real, actual human food that we've never even seen before? You know, probably we've seen them somewhere in the fossil record. We would not be able to recognize them. None of their DNAs are still there, or their chromosomes, whatever. We can't even hope to ever bring back these things. Can we bring back the original human language? How would we do that? You know, maybe we could make it a law that everybody speak English and call that our natural human language or something of that nature, but we can't bring back natural human language. Instinctive language has to be brought back by God. And the solar system, obviously there is not a thing that we as humans can do to restore the solar system. But is there? The trees of life were our proper human food. Religions try to cover over this fact, and most religions have a system for declaring improper food to be proper food. I did a video a while back called Bible Food. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, it's probably because you haven't seen that video. Go back and watch Bible Food, and you'll understand directly from the Bible what is and is not proper food. Proper food is not the same as kosher food, but yet people get on my channel and argue about how it is a sin to eat things that God doesn't allow. You know, and pork is a big one. There's other people that just any kind of meat is wrong. And then there's other people that just go on about GMOs and aspartame. The reality is we all have to make choices. I try to make the best choice for me. But to say that somehow God is going to punish someone if they don't make the right choice is basically us trying to fix something that God broke. When God eliminated the trees of life, that was for a purpose. Us declaring kosher food to be proper food is basically us telling God we can fix this ourselves. We don't need you to restore the trees of life. The languages, can we force everyone to speak these languages? No, but we can, with our religions, make it appear as though we are fixing them for ourselves. There is this new movement in the United States, maybe it's everywhere, I'm not aware of that, but people will get on and argue over what God's real name is, or what His Son's real name is. And that's, if you look at the comments in my videos, there's always people calling God Yahuwah, or calling His Son Yeshua, or calling Noah Noach, or Moses Moshe. This is... Well, you know what? Here's the deal. I study the ancient Greek and Hebrew so I can get a better understanding of the English. But to think that God concerns Himself with us attempting to restore the pure language prior to Jesus' return, we could actually find that we're fighting against God. God broke that for a reason. For us to attempt to fix it is like declaring war on God. The solar system. Obviously, we can't fix the solar system, but what can we do to fix this? Well, when the solar system was destroyed, or altered in such a way that our calendar was destroyed, it put an end to all religions earthwide, because every religion was based on celebrating certain festivals according to certain celestial phenomenon. And just as an example, in the Jewish faith, there is one of their most important festivals is the Feast of Trumpets. Every year, during the vernal equinox, the fall vernal equinox, a man would be stationed to watch to see when the eclipse would occur. And as soon as he saw that it was going to be an eclipse, he would blow a horn so that everyone in the village could run out and watch the eclipse together. And that was a command. God gave them that command. Once the calendar was altered, lunar eclipses were no longer something you could predict. And they certainly don't happen at the vernal equinox in the fall in the Promised Land. So what did they do? They started to have a Feast of Trumpets that was not based on the first day of the 7th month having a lunar eclipse, but they based it on the new moon in either the 6th, the 7th, or the 8th month, depending on which rabbi or which rabbinical school you adhere to. When we attempt to keep festivals that God personally destroyed, we could find ourselves as enemies of God. I know this is going to cause a lot of issues with people, but when God breaks something and He promises to fix it, Shouldn't we just wait for him to fix it? If you don't want to survive, don't listen to me.